I'm
Right.
assuming you took out
It
a
won't
lot.
always be
blocked
that.
a lot of the problems.
Huh?
I'm assuming you blocked
Oh, yeah.
half of the problems.
About half of them, yeah.
Yeah, because it says 15 up there.
Well, the ones that have anything to do with the discount date,
Uh-huh.
or discount period. I'm sorry. I took those out. I didn't cover that. I don't see the point in it because simple discounting method is not very popular anymore, is it? Is it even used anywhere? I've never gotten a loan that way. Now you do have to do the number date calculations for chapter 10, like I showed you with the table and everything. You don't have to do it for this one. So that's why it's brief. Next semester I'll probably cover it in one day, like the whole thing. Okay, so we're ready to get started. Number 1. It says complete the following table for this simple discount note. Now here are the givens. Here's what they give you, and then here's what you have to provide. Now remember what I told you from the lecture, right? The bank discount means the same thing as the what? Interest. It's just a different word. Bank discount means interest. So you have to use the interest formula in the first step, right? First problem. You can see the principal is the amount due at maturity. It's the same thing as the principal, right? P. The discount rate, there's your key, rate. And you can see how we convert it to a decimal. Any questions about that? How we got that? We know how to do that with fractions. Now the days, or the time, it's quoted in days, or stated in days. So the bottom number, it even tells you, use 360 days. So you're going to use 360, not 365. 1 second. Oh. All right, so back to this. 360 days on the bottom, it's ordinary interest. Okay, so 323 on top. I wouldn't recommend trying to convert this, reduce this fraction, or convert it to a decimal. Do you see why? The top number is an odd number.
Yeah.
What does that mean? On your calculator, you'll punch it in just like this.
Yeah.
Okay? There's nothing to simplify on the bottom, so you can just do it like this in the order it's in. 0.0775 times 323 and then divided by 360, just like that. Okay, that gives you the interest or the bank discount. Now the proceeds, that is what you walk out the door with. In simple discounting method, you subtract the interest from the what? Principal. And this is what you walk out the door with. Any questions? Okay.
Do you have to type in the plus or minus?
No. You know, the only reason that's up here is because in my settings, if you're above or under the answer, the correct answer within 1%, it should still mark it correct. I do that just in case some people's calculators are different and their answer might be slightly off. No, whether that feature really works or not, I'm still not sure. That's debatable. So you won't see that on yours.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on to the next one.
No.
Yes.
Number 2? No? What do you mean no? Same old thing we looked at on Monday. Okay, 2's gone, 3's gone, 4's gone. Alright.
One problem, please.
Your test is pretty long though. Your test is about 15 problems. Yeah, on Monday.
Is it number 5?
Yes. Number 5. Okay, the Treasury bill problem. They want to know what the effective interest rate is. What is the actual interest rate you're earning on the Treasury bill, as opposed to the stated rate that is in the problem? Okay? Now, it's always going to be, what do we say, slightly higher. The effective rate is always slightly higher, as you can see. But let's go through the problem step by step. This is a $10,000 Treasury bill, okay? Do you recognize the formula? This is the interest formula. So that is your Think about it as your principal. It's your investment. Okay? It's the face value of the Treasury bill. We can call it many things. 1.25%, that is your rate. They state the time in terms of weeks, so we use 52 for the bottom number, right? 52 weeks in a year. 19 over 52. And then now we're all set. Once we calculate the interest, what is always the second step to figure out effective interest? Subtract the interest from the principal, and this is what you get, or this is what you're going to use in the last calculation, right? Notice it's right here. Now, who recognizes this formula? This is the formula for
R
what?
equals I over P times time.
Good. R equals I over P times T. We've done it over and over, okay? So all you do when you get to this problem is you solve the interest formula for rate. Get that set up first. And then you just plug in the numbers as you need to. Okay? So, on the top we have what? I, which is the interest. On the bottom we have P, which is the proceeds in this case. It's usually the principal that goes there.
I'm so used to principal.
That's all right. They both begin with P, so you can't go wrong. Okay? And then we have time, last but not least. Now right here, what are you going to do? What are you going to do when you're solving this problem?
You do the
You
multiplication
do the
first.
Do the bottom first. You write that number down. You might have to actually write it down unless you can memorize it. And then do the final calculation. 4567 divided by whatever the simplified result is on the bottom. Once this is simplified. So do this part first. Because you're not going to get the same answer, right? We tried that, didn't we?
No, you won't.
And you get 1.26%. And you write it just like that in the blank. Or type it.
You have to have those numbers afterwards?
These?
Yeah.
Oh no, remember I was just talking about that? You won't see that on your screen. Did everybody hear what this is? Everybody listening?
I got it.
Yeah.
You know what this is? This is the tolerance. Yeah, you had asked me, right? Okay. This is the tolerance, plus or minus 1%. So if your answer is 1% above or below the correct answer, it should accept it as correct. That's what that is. So you will not see it on yours.
Professor,
Yeah.
what is this problem here? What is it number?
Number 5. I went from 1 to 5. Yeah. Number 1 was a very simple discount problem. I don't know if you had missed it or whatever.
I did.
I could put it back up again whenever we're done.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Ready for another one? Okay.
Good Lord.
A lot of this is just unnecessary information. So I like to challenge you every now and then and see if you can figure out what is it that you have to pull from the problem or from the verbiage to actually use in the calculations. This one shouldn't be too bad. We have Megan. She wants to take out a personal loan for $1,610. Now immediately, we know that's the amount she's borrowing. That is the principal. Do you notice the interest formula?
Interesting.
However, last year, basically she was a victim of identity theft. Let me summarize this. I've gone over this problem several times. She was a victim of identity theft, and because of that, her credit was affected, her credit score, so she's a victim. And because her credit score was affected, now she's going in and they're going to charge her all these extra fees and a high interest rate, because of that. Does that make sense? Somebody stole her identity, screwed up her credit. She has to pay higher interest and an extra fee. They're going to charge her a fee, an extra fee. Now, we never had this before. Pay close attention. Of 3% of the loan amount, as well as take the interest out up front. Okay? Now, the bank is offering her a 12% APR. Let's see what we need from here. We got the principal already. The 12%, where does that go? R. And then time, why is it 0.5? Because it's for
It's
6 months.
Yeah, 6 months is half a year.
6 months. So 6 over 12 is reducible to 1/2, which equals 0.5.
Right.
So use 0.5. That's just like longer calculations. Okay, so we have the interest. Now, what's going on in the second step here? Because we don't usually have this. We're taking the principal and multiplying it by 3%. 0.03. Why?
Because that's what she's being charged.
She's being charged an extra fee because of her poor credit. And she has no collateral, by the way. So the bank looks at her as a bigger risk. So they're going to take out an extra 3% of the principal, which is $48.30. Now, what we're doing in the third step is adding what together? The first two steps. See it?
Yeah.
We're adding the interest and the fee. So all we had to do is figure out the fee, the extra fee, and then kind of throw it in with the interest, right? That's what we're doing. So that's the total charge, you know, the cost of borrowing. It's just we have a fee. So it's $144.90. How do we always get the proceeds? We subtract the interest, which includes a fee here, from the principal. And this is the proceeds. Now, do they ask you for proceeds here in the answer blanks?
No.
No, you're not done yet. You have to get the proceeds in order to do the last part. Do you recognize the formula again? We just looked at it a while ago. I divided by P times T. So interest, let's just plug things in. Interest, $144.90. Remember that includes the 3% fee. And then proceeds, P, which we got in this step. And then last but not least, 0.5, which is the time, 6 months. And you get this long number here. Now they tell you to round it up to what? To the nearest whole number. Look at that and make sure you understand. The nearest whole number means you have no decimal part. There's no decimal. So 19.7, you can easily see that be rounded up to
20.
Because the decimal, when you turn this into a percent, you would get 19.7%, right? And then 7's higher than 5, so you would round the 9 up to, or the 19 up to a 20. Getting all that back there? So don't be scared by the words. They're just creating a situation for us so we can identify it. But that is true, if you become a victim of identity theft until you get it straightened out, they can justifiably charge you higher interest, even though it's not your fault. Now, once you find out who the guilty party is, then you can go after them. And you can actually sue them for that extra interest, plus the criminal charges.
Well, if they're in jail, we can't pay it back.
Chances are, this person is not going to pay you.
Yep.
So,
Number 7?
wasn't it 6?
We just did 6.
Oh, okay. Yes, 7. Take a look at what they're asking us to give. The proceeds and the effective rate. All right, so nothing's different here. Go through the problem. In the beginning, of course, we have Bill. He signs a $9,000 note. Okay, that is your principal. They charge 6.5% interest. That is your rate. Assume the loan is for 277 days. So the bottom, we're going to put on the bottom 360. So 277 over 360. It tells you use 360 in red. So we multiply it all together and we get $450.12. Are we done? Obviously not. That's just the interest. Now in simple discounting, we always subtract the interest, right, from the principal. And now we have the proceeds. That's the first answer. Part 2, effective interest. To get effective interest, you have to find the proceeds first, right? So you cannot do Part B before Part A. That's usually the case in almost all the problems, if not all of them. So come down here to the bottom. Don't let this confuse you. Let's see how they have it set up here. This is I over P times T again, right?
Yeah, they just put in the extra step.
Yeah, they put in an extra step for us. I guess that's nice. So interest over proceeds times time. And then we come to this. You know, once you do the bottom part and simplify it, this is the answer you get for the bottom. Always at the bottom first, right? And then you divide 450 and 12 cents into this number. Now 6.8%, is that higher than the stated rate, which is 6.5%? Yes. It's always going to be higher. If you don't get a higher number, then you have the wrong answer.
I got confused.
What's wrong?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just an extra step at the bottom in B. They just,
So is that,
549.88, so I think you get 6,578. So they're just showing the extra division part. They just worked out the bottom
this
part.
is the result
It's
of
the result of
this.
that, yeah. And then they're just dividing it. It's the same thing you do, they're just showing it.
okay, I just didn't want to be confused once I brought
No,
my
no.
notes and go,
No.
what did I do here?
That's just
Question in the back?
that's just an
So I'm just showing you two different ways.
Right here, okay, again, this number is the result of just the bottom part. So once you calculate the bottom, this is what you should get. That's all it is.
Professor,
Yeah.
the Part A is asking for the proceeds, and that's 8549.88.
Yes.
I see. Let me see.
Are you ready for another one?
Yep.
Doesn't matter if you're ready or not. I just said to be polite. No, I just want to make sure you finish taking notes. Okay. So, Treasury bill. Treasury bill. See me after class for just 1 minute, okay? About your email. Okay. What do they want from us here? They want the interest and the effective rate of interest. Very simple. Look at the problem. On January 18, 2007, Business Week reports yield on Treasury bills. Do we need anything from there? Is there anything from that sentence we need? No, not yet. Bruce Martin purchases a Treasury bill, which has a face value of $15,500. Okay, immediately, let me see what they're doing here. Hold on. Okay, I see what happened. Okay, let me read on. 15-week Treasury bill at $15,381.10. So is he paying more for it or less than the face value? He's paying less, just like we did on Wednesday or Monday. So to get this first answer, what's happening? We take the face value and subtract from it what? What he actually paid for it. What he actually paid for it. Okay? So the interest represents what? How much he is going to, the P word. Profit. Well, it's an investment, right? There's a lot of P words in there. Principal, proceeds, profit. So do you see what's happening here? It's very simple. You subtract what he paid from what the face value. So this thing's actually worth $15,500. So in the end, this is what he earns from his investment. Now down at the bottom, we have to figure out the effective rate of interest. We have I, we have the interest, I.
Seriously?
So again,
Sorry.
I divided by P, which is proceeds, or in this case, what is it? Not really proceeds, but the cost. The cost. I can't think of a P word to send it in there to make it fit in, because this is not a loan, this is an investment. So normally you would have principal or proceeds right here. In this case, it's what he paid. How about that? That's a P word. What he paid for it. Okay? And then last but not least, again, the time. So it says a 15-week Treasury bill. We use weeks, right? So total is 52 weeks in a year. 15 over 52. Now it's very simple. You work the bottom part first, remember? And then that comes to this. That will result in this number. So the interest divided by 4,436, blah, 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 gives you 2.67, blah, 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 percent. Now I tell you to round to what? The 100th percent. You see that? What does that mean, the 100th percent? The second decimal place. Tenths, hundredths. So the second decimal place. And if we do that, here's the second decimal place, the 7, right? And a 9 is next to it, so we're going to round the 7 up to an 8. Is that higher than the stated rate? 2.68% compared to... Did they even give it to us?
No.
Okay, never mind. It's higher. It's
We'll just assume.
probably about 2.5. Huh?
So far, we'll just assume.
What is what?
We'll just assume.
We'll assume, yes. No, we know it's higher. So, any questions on this one?
Okay.
Number 10. Number 10. I didn't realize I'd given you so many Treasury bill problems. Was that 3 so far? Okay. But they're easy. So they want the effective interest rate again. That's all we have to get. Same old thing we just did. Now take a look, because you have to be careful that you don't use anything that's not necessary up here. And what I'm talking about is this number right here. You don't use the 15 billion. Let me tell you why.
That would be way too hard.
Yeah. Let's see why. The Treasury Department auctioned $15 billion worth of 3-month denomination Treasury bills. Does that make sense? Or excuse me, 3-month bills and denominations of $20,000. The denomination is the face value. Let's print on the bill. So think about what's going on here. They're selling 15 billion total. Hopefully selling all of them. Okay? So you don't use this number. All you're doing is you're buying one. And how much is one going to cost you? $20,000. So $20,000 is your
Principal.
Proceed.
Investment.
it's the face value. That's where principal normally would be. But in an investment problem, right? Well, in this case, it's the face value. Face value. Notice that it's in words up here. Okay. Moving right along. At a discount rate of 9.027%. That is your rate. Time, we know that it's 13 over 52. Now, I mentioned this on Monday. Look in the problem, and just trust me on this one. Make sure you make a note of this. It says 3 months. Now, 3 months is 3 over 12. 3 over 12 is actually exactly equivalent to 13 over 52. So if you use 3 over 12 or 13 over 52 or 1/4 or 0.25, any of those should work. Does that make sense? I just didn't want you to be thrown off by this and the way they show it here.
I would use that as
You could use 0.25 here. Okay? So here's the interest. We get the interest. Now what's the next step? Always subtract the interest from the face value. Now, what do you notice here? Never mind. Okay. Subtract the interest from the face value, and you get what? What you actually paid for it, the cost, what you paid, paid. Okay, and that comes right here, doesn't it? It goes right here. I over P times T. Here's interest, I. Here's what you paid. And then here's the time. What are you going to use for this again? What's the simplest way?
0.25.
0.25. All right, so we move on over to the next step with doing the calculations. Okay, they've done the bottom part for you, right? And it results in this number. Now it's simple. We used to divide 451.350. Do you need that zero on the end there?
No.
No.
I didn't get it on the calculator.
You don't need it. We could add 2 zeros, 3 zeros, 4 zeros. If it's at the end, you could just wipe them all off.
Yeah.
Now, if it's in the middle somewhere, you can't do that. Only if it's on the end. Okay? So, we come out with 9.23 blah, blah, blah percent. And you want to round this up to the nearest hundredth, second decimal place. So, look at the second decimal place. It's a 3. Look to the right of it. You have a 5. So, we're going to round the 3 up to a 4. Any questions on that one? Should be pretty repetitive by now.
Should.
Okay, a couple more. Next one is number 11. Another Treasury bill.
Good job, Pat.
When I go back and I recreate this again, I'm going to modify, not for you, it's too late, but I'll substitute a couple of those Treasury bill columns for simple discounting. Oh well, okay. Again, they want you to give the effective rate. Very simple, right? So we have Annika, who bought an $11,000 Treasury bill, right? That's the face value, so that's P. Think of it as the price if you want to. Well, no, don't do that because, yeah, never mind. You know what to do. We've done it over and over. Okay, so 18-week Treasury bills. 18-week? They told us they were usually 13 weeks, but anyway. This one is an 18-week maturity. At 4.75%, that is your rate. So 18 weeks, 18 over 52 weeks in a year. You get 180.87. You're going to use the same formula you did in the last 3 problems. I divided by P times T. They did not solve it for us this time. The bottom. They didn't show it. Oh, that step. You're right. You noticed that. Let's back up a minute. Okay, the 180.87. Subtract that from what?
The 10,000.
11,000.
All right.
Notice how I didn't give you that step. I don't know if that was on purpose or just, accident. So 180.87 subtracted from 11,000. That's how you get 10,819 and 13 cents. So we're straight now? Okay. And then we have the time. Now in this problem, they also left out they didn't calculate the bottom part for us. But you know what you have to do, right? You do this part first, the bottom, and then you divide 180.87 into the bottom result. You get 4.83%. Notice how that's slightly higher than 4.75. Okay, the next one better not be Treasury bill. Because I'll just disqualify it if it is. I really didn't realize, what's that, 5 of them?
Treasury bill.
Yeah. Should I go on there and throw some more on there? I can always put on more simple discount problems for you. It'll be just like number 1.
Okay.
I could put like 2 or 3 more on there. make it 10 even. What do you think? Seriously.
But,
It really doesn't matter to me.
when you subtract all these questions from these tests, like at the end of the semester, is that gonna affect the points or anything?
No, what you do is you take your total. It doesn't matter that every quiz has a different number of questions. In the end, you would total up all the points. Well, actually, I'm trying to picture how you see it on the website on your side. You would take, your quizzes are 40% of your total grade. So what you're going to do is find your quiz average and multiply it times 0.4. And then you would find your test average, which is 4 tests, I believe, and multiply it times 0.6 and add those two together. And I'll go over that again later.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's not going to have any effect, or I wouldn't be doing it. Okay. But yeah, I'm going to rewrite this quiz. Not for you guys, but the next class. Okay. Ready for another one, or do we finish this one?
Yeah, we're good.
We're good. Okay. Whoa, that's it. Yeah. So you had just one simple discount or two simple discount? Just one?
Two, I think.
I think it was
I'm not a big fan of it, really, to be
Two
honest.
was 5 of the.
So 2 of them. Okay. You're probably better off learning about Treasury bills anyway. I mean, those